At 64, Michael J. Fox just dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming, and what he revealed about his own funeral will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button right now, because you won't believe who this beloved icon has officially banned from his final goodbye. The Back to the Future legend, who has faced Parkinson's disease with incredible courage for over 3 decades, has finally opened up about the dark side of fame, the fake friendships, and the Hollywood betrayals that have haunted him throughout his career, and his shocking funeral guest list exclusions expose a side of the entertainment industry that most celebrities would never dare to discuss publicly. We're talking about A-list celebrities, former colleagues, and even some people you'd assume were his closest friends who have now been completely cut from his farewell ceremony. And the reasons behind these decisions are both heartbreaking and jaw-dropping. Fox didn't hold back when discussing the so-called friends who disappeared when his diagnosis became public, the industry vultures who exploited his condition for their own gain, and the backstabbers who smiled to his face while working against him behind closed doors. This isn't just another celebrity story. This is Michael J. Fox finally setting the record straight and exposing the truth about loyalty, friendship, and respect in Hollywood's cutthroat environment. What he reveals about certain individuals will completely change how you view some of your favorite stars, and the final revelation about who tops his banned list and why will leave you absolutely stunned. Make sure you watch until the very end, because that last piece of information is something you definitely don't want to miss. It will impact how you see everything. So stay tuned, keep watching, and prepare yourself for one of the most controversial celebrity revelations of the year, because Michael J. Fox is done playing nice, and the truth is finally coming out. Michael J. Fox is a Canadian-American actor who became one of Hollywood's most beloved stars during the 1980s and remains an inspirational figure today. Born Michael Andrew Fox on June 9, 1961, in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, he began his acting career as a teenager before moving to Los Angeles to pursue his dreams. Fox achieved massive stardom playing Alex P. Keaton on the hit sitcom Family Ties from 1982 to 1989, a role that earned him 3 Emmy Awards and established him as a household name. However, his most iconic role came in 1985 when he portrayed Marty McFly in the legendary Back to the Future trilogy, cementing his status as a cultural icon. His career flourished throughout the late 80s and early 90s with successful films and television projects. In 1991, at the height of his fame, Fox was privately diagnosed with young-onset Parkinson's disease at just 29 years old, though he kept this diagnosis secret from the public for 7 years. Since going public in 1998, he has become one of the world's most prominent advocates for Parkinson's research, founding the Michael J. Fox Foundation in 2000, which has raised over $1 billion for research, making him not just an entertainment legend, but a hero in the medical community. 1. The shocking announcement and why now. At 64 years old, Michael J. Fox has decided to break his silence about the people he's cutting out of his life, even in death. During a recent intimate interview, Fox revealed that he's been carefully curating his funeral guest list, and the exclusions are raising eyebrows across Hollywood. The timing of this revelation is significant as Fox has been increasingly candid about his mortality while living with advanced Parkinson's disease. He explained that after decades of maintaining diplomatic silence, he feels liberated to speak his truth without fear of professional consequences. Fox stated that planning his own funeral has been a therapeutic process, allowing him to reflect on who truly mattered in his life versus those who were merely present for the fame and fortune. This unprecedented honesty from someone typically known for his positivity and grace has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, with many wondering if they'll make the cut or find themselves on a banned list. Fox elaborated that this decision wasn't made impulsively, but came after years of reflection and journaling about his relationships, both personal and professional. He mentioned that his advancing condition has given him a clarity about mortality that most people his age don't possess, and he wants to ensure that his final goodbye is surrounded only by genuine love and authentic relationships, not performative grief from people who contributed nothing positive to his journey. 2. The fair weather friends who vanished after his diagnosis. Michael J. Fox didn't mince words when discussing the so-called friends who completely disappeared after his Parkinson's diagnosis became public knowledge in 1998. He revealed that numerous Hollywood elites who had been regular fixtures at his parties and premieres suddenly became too busy to return phone calls or attend events once his tremors became visible. Fox described the painful experience of watching his social circle shrink dramatically, not because of anything he did, but simply because his illness made others uncomfortable or because he was no longer seen as professionally valuable. He specifically mentioned industry executives and producers who had promised him future projects but ghosted him entirely once his condition progressed. These individuals, Fox declared, are absolutely not welcome at his funeral because their absence during his most difficult years speaks volumes about their character. He explained that true friendship isn't measured by red carpet appearances, but by who shows up during hospital visits and difficult days, and these fair-weather friends failed that test miserably, proving they were only interested in associating with the healthy, profitable version of Michael J. Fox. Fox went deeper into specific instances where former friends crossed the street to avoid talking to him, canceled lunch appointments at the last minute with transparent excuses, or simply stopped inviting him to social gatherings because they didn't want to deal with the reality of his condition. He shared heartbreaking stories of watching former close companions literally turn their backs when they saw him at industry events, pretending not to notice him to avoid awkward conversations. The actor revealed that some of these people later attempted to reconnect once his foundation became successful and prestigious, suddenly wanting to be associated with his advocacy work after abandoning him during his darkest hours. But Fox firmly shut those doors, recognizing their opportunistic motivations. 3. The exploitation and those who profited from his pain. Perhaps the most disturbing revelation from Fox involves individuals and organizations that actively exploited his Parkinson's diagnosis for their own financial or professional gain. Fox exposed several former business associates and supposed advocates who used his name and image to promote questionable treatments, supplements, and therapies without his permission, profiting off desperate Parkinson's patients and their families. He detailed how certain people in the pharmaceutical and alternative medicine industries attempted to leverage his celebrity status to sell unproven products, often approaching him with lucrative endorsement deals that would have compromised his integrity and misled vulnerable people seeking hope. Fox also called out specific entertainment industry figures who pitched exploitative documentary and reality show concepts that would have sensationalized his suffering for ratings and profit. These opportunists, he firmly stated, represent everything wrong with an industry that often values profit over people, and their calculated attempts to monetize his tragedy have earned them permanent spots on his funeral blacklist, as he refuses to have people present who saw his disease as nothing more than a business opportunity. Fox elaborated on the disgusting tactics some of these individuals employed, including fake testimonials, manipulated scientific data, and emotional manipulation of vulnerable patients. He described receiving dozens of proposals for tell-all books that focused more on the gory details of his physical decline rather than his accomplishments or advocacy work. Some publishers even suggested he wait until his condition worsened significantly before releasing a book, because it would sell better, a suggestion that made Fox physically ill. He also revealed that certain tabloid journalists and paparazzi photographers actively stalked him during his worst symptomatic days, hoping to capture unflattering images they could sell for thousands of dollars, showing zero humanity or compassion for a man struggling with a degenerative disease. These predatory behaviors, Fox stated, revealed the absolute worst of human nature, and he has made it his mission to ensure these vultures get no satisfaction from his death either. 4. Political figures and the stem cell research controversy. Michael J. Fox became deeply involved in political advocacy for stem cell research funding, and this activism created bitter enemies among certain conservative politicians and public figures who opposed his position. Fox revealed that several prominent political figures who publicly attacked him during heated stem cell research debates questioned his symptoms and accused him of exaggerating his condition for political purposes are explicitly banned from any memorial service. He specifically referenced the 2006 controversy when Rush Limbaugh accused him of acting and faking his symptoms in political advertisements, an accusation that deeply wounded Fox and his family. Fox stated that those who weaponized his illness for political gain, who prioritized ideology over compassion, and who actively worked to block research funding that could help millions of suffering people have demonstrated a cruelty he cannot forgive. He emphasized that while he respects legitimate policy disagreements, the personal attacks and mockery of his physical symptoms crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. These individuals used his vulnerability as ammunition for their political careers, and Fox made it crystal clear that their presence at his funeral would be an insult to his memory and everything he fought for throughout his advocacy work. Fox went into extensive detail about the hate mail and death threats he received from extremist groups who oppose stem cell research, often citing religious or moral objections while simultaneously showing no Christian charity or human decency in their communications. He described politicians who smiled and shook his hand at fundraisers, but then voted against research, funding, and spread misinformation about the science to their constituents. Fox revealed that some political operatives actually hired people to follow him to public appearances and document his symptoms, looking for inconsistencies they could use to discredit his advocacy, treating his disease like it was some kind of hoax rather than a devastating neurological condition. He discussed the psychological toll of having his credibility constantly questioned, being accused of manipulation when he was simply trying to help advance medical research that could benefit millions. Fox also mentioned specific senators and representatives who blocked crucial funding bills while their own family members suffered from Parkinson's or similar conditions. Hypocrisy he found utterly unforgivable and morally bankrupt. 5. Former colleagues and the on-set betrayals. In one of the most surprising segments of his revelation, Michael J. Fox discussed tensions and betrayals with certain former colleagues from various projects throughout his career. While he didn't name everyone specifically, Fox alluded to co-stars and directors who made his working conditions unnecessarily difficult, particularly in the years immediately following his diagnosis, when he was still actively trying to work. He described instances where certain actors complained about his symptoms affecting shooting schedules, showed impatience with his physical limitations, and lobbied producers to replace him rather than accommodate his needs. Fox revealed that some people he had worked with for years suddenly viewed him as a liability rather than a colleague deserving of respect and compassion. He spoke about the emotional toll of trying to maintain professionalism while dealing with both his progressing disease and the cold indifference or outright hostility from people he had considered friends. These workplace betrayals cut particularly deep because Fox had always prided himself on being a generous, professional collaborator who supported his fellow actors. The individuals who failed to extend that same courtesy back to him during his most vulnerable professional moments have forfeited any right to mourn him publicly, as their actions revealed their true characters when it mattered most. Fox provided more context about specific productions where he faced discrimination and cruelty masked as professional concern. He described directors who would deliberately schedule the most physically demanding scenes when his medication was wearing off, seemingly to punish him or create pressure for him to quit. Some co-stars refused to rehearse with him, claiming his unpredictable movements were distracting, while others made jokes about his tremors between takes, treating his suffering as entertainment for the crew. Fox revealed that certain producers tried to break his contracts by claiming his condition violated insurance requirements or made him uninsurable, even when medical professionals confirmed he was capable of performing his duties. He discussed the humiliation of having to prove his competence repeatedly while watching less experienced actors receive opportunities he was denied solely because of his diagnosis. Fox also mentioned colleagues who promised to support him in production meetings, but then remained silent when executives suggested replacing him, their cowardice and self-interest trumping any sense of loyalty or friendship they had previously expressed. 6. Family disputes and the relatives who emerged only for money. In perhaps his most personal revelation, Michael J. Fox addressed family tensions and distant relatives who suddenly reappeared in his life once his wealth and fame reached their peak. Fox discussed the painful reality of family members who had been absent for years or even decades suddenly expressing interest in reconnecting, not out of genuine love or concern, but clearly motivated by financial expectations. He revealed that certain relatives attempted to leverage their family connection to seek loans, investments in dubious business ventures, or outright handouts, some even threatening to sell stories to tabloids if their demands weren't met. Fox expressed deep hurt over relatives who never bothered to call during his difficult health battles, but somehow found his phone number when they needed money. He also mentioned family members who criticized his parenting choices, his wife Tracy Pollan, and his advocacy work while simultaneously expecting to benefit from his success and generosity. These toxic family dynamics, Fox explained, taught him that blood relation doesn't automatically entitle someone to a place in his life or his death. He made it explicitly clear that his funeral will be attended only by those who loved him unconditionally, not those who saw him as a cash machine or a ticket to fame, and several specific relatives have been informed they are not welcome to pay their respects when the time comes. Fox elaborated on the emotional manipulation tactics some family members employed, including guilt-tripping him about his success while they struggled, as if his achievements somehow obligated him to support their lifestyle choices. He described relatives who showed up at his home unannounced with their hands out, some bringing lawyers to pressure him into investments or business deals, treating family gatherings like business negotiations rather than opportunities for genuine connection. 7. The media vultures and invasive journalists. Michael J. Fox dedicated significant time to discussing his contentious relationship with certain members of the media who he believes crossed every ethical boundary in their pursuit of sensational stories about his condition. Fox revealed that specific journalists and entertainment reporters are permanently banned from his funeral after years of invasive, disrespectful coverage that prioritized clicks and ratings over human dignity. He described paparazzi who would intentionally startle him to capture more dramatic photos of his tremors, photographers who followed his children to school hoping to get quotes about their father's declining health, and reporters who misquoted him or took his words out of context to create more sensational headlines. Fox was particularly angry about tabloid publications that ran speculative stories about his death, often with headlines suggesting he had mere months to live, causing tremendous distress to his family and friends who would panic and call to check on him. He mentioned specific instances where journalists tried to bribe his medical staff for confidential health information, attempted to access his medical records illegally, and even posed as delivery people to gain access to his home. Fox stated that these predatory media practices represented journalism at its absolute worst, trading ethics and compassion for profit and readership. He revealed that some entertainment news programs would run entire segments dedicated to analyzing his physical appearance and symptoms, bringing in medical experts who had never examined him to speculate about his prognosis and remaining lifespan. Fox described the violation he felt watching strangers discuss his body and his future on national television, as if he were merely a curiosity rather than a human being with feelings and a family. He also called out specific gossip columnists who wrote cruel, mocking pieces about his attempts to continue working, treating his determination and courage as delusion or vanity rather than the inspiring perseverance it actually represented to millions of people facing similar challenges. 8. The industry power players who blacklisted him. Fox revealed a darker side of Hollywood that many suspected but few discuss openly. The systematic blacklisting he experienced from powerful studio executives, producers, and casting directors once his Parkinson's diagnosis became public knowledge. Despite his proven track record, box office success, and multiple awards, Fox found himself suddenly unable to secure leading roles or even significant supporting parts in major productions. He named this section of excluded funeral attendees as perhaps the most professionally damaging group. The gatekeepers who decided his marketability had expired the moment his hand began to shake. Fox described meetings where executives praised his talent and expressed admiration for his courage, only to have their assistants call hours later to say the role had been filled or the project was moving in a different direction. He discussed the coded language used in rejection letters and phone calls, phrases like insurance concerns, physical demands of the role, and audience expectations that were really just polite ways of saying they didn't want to hire someone with a visible disability. Fox revealed that some of these power players actively discouraged others from working with him, spreading rumors that he was difficult, unreliable, or that his condition made production too complicated and expensive. He shared stories of projects he had developed himself, passion projects he had spent years nurturing, being taken away and given to other actors once financing came together, because investors didn't believe audiences would accept him in leading roles anymore. Fox stated that these individuals effectively ended his acting career not through honest conversation or legitimate business concerns, but through whisper campaigns and cowardly exclusion masked as business decisions. He was particularly angry about executives who publicly praised his foundation and advocacy work, using his name and story when it suited their corporate social responsibility narratives, while simultaneously ensuring he couldn't work in the industry he had served for decades. These hypocrites, Fox declared, embodied everything wrong with an industry that claims to value diversity and inclusion while actively discriminating against disabled performers. 9. The final revelation. His message about forgiveness and legacy. In his closing thoughts about the funeral exclusion list, Michael J. Fox delivered what he calls his final revelation, a nuanced message about forgiveness, boundaries, and legacy that surprised many who expected pure bitterness. Fox explained that creating this list wasn't primarily about punishment or revenge, but about curating an authentic final gathering that reflected his true life rather than the sanitized Hollywood version. He stated that he has largely forgiven most of the people on his banned list, understanding that fear, ignorance, and self-interest often drive human behavior, but forgiveness doesn't require allowing those people access to his most intimate final moments. Fox emphasized that his funeral will celebrate genuine relationships, real love, and authentic connections, and including people who hurt him or exploited him would corrupt that purity and turn his memorial into another Hollywood performance. He revealed that this process has given him tremendous peace, allowing him to let go of resentments while still maintaining healthy boundaries that protect his family and honor his memory appropriately. Fox's final message was surprisingly hopeful, encouraging others facing mortality to think carefully about who truly matters in their lives, to forgive when possible, but never to feel obligated to give precious time and energy to people who have proven unworthy of it. He stated that his greatest legacy isn't his films or his foundation, but the relationships he nurtured with people who loved him unconditionally, and his funeral will reflect that truth rather than Hollywood's fiction. This revelation left audiences with a profound meditation on what truly matters at the end of life, the quality of our connections rather than the quantity, the authenticity of love rather than the appearance of it, and the courage to be honest about who deserves our final goodbye.